Good morning, lovelies. Happy Friday. Tim Wild's Friday Ascension update, and again, it's a little bit of a soggy morning, but it's beautiful. It's warm. Birds are singing. Light is coming in. How many of you could really feel that very intense full moon that we had? I think it peaked at 7:20 UK time yesterday, but for me, the energy has been so consistent and so inflowing that I didn't feel the usual flex of the moon. Now, our job at the moment, the way I'm seeing it, is probably going to be kind of pretty tied up around integrating the light that is coming from the summer solstice where we are, or the winter solstice in the southern hemispheres. And if you look at what occurs around Christmas time, it usually takes us roughly 3 weeks for us to actually physically, mentally, emotionally and spiritually integrate this light and turn it into something productive and useful. What I've been told is that time has been reduced due to more to do with the fact that we are moving forward very quickly, and whereas it used to take a while for us to bring this stuff in on board and actually process it, we're getting better at it. Okay, it might not feel like it. I'm hearing a lot of tired stories, especially around the 21st, the 22nd, the 23rd. It's always very exciting when you've got an equinox, when you've got a solstice event. The field that we tune into is it feels almost electrified, and everything's forward moving and it's buzzy. But then you get the inevitable kind of that almost like that deadpan feeling afterwards, where you just need to kind of sit back, integrate, and allow the light to do its job. And one thing I just want to kind of touch upon this morning is, I'll only ever look at things which I see as repetitive, because if they're repetitive for me, then no doubt they will be being presented on a regular basis in the field. And again, it comes back to the discernment and what's correct for us, what is information that we should be acting upon and bringing into our bodies and fields, and what isn't. Because we've reached the stage of this shift at the moment where I would regard us as almost exactly halfway through. If anything, a little bit further than halfway through. The transition that we're in at the moment, for those of you that are kind of might be a bit newer to the topic, began on the 21st of December 2012, which was the cosmic moment. It was the end of the 260,000 year Atlantean era. It finished overnight. So when we woke up on the 22nd of December 2012, we were technically living in a completely new reality energetically, although it didn't feel like it for quite a long time. It felt quite disappointing, I think, more to anything. Like we woke up expecting this kind of fresh new world, and in actual fact what we did is we started entering a very tough 4 or 5 years of continuous emotional, mental, karmic timeline cleansing, which is still going on now. But on top of this, with all of this, going on, being part of our ascension process and the things that trigger us and wake us up, we've moved forwards. And I discussed this when Paul and Sally and Jackie and I were doing the Solstice Ascension workshop on Monday night. So, and one of the participants asked me, "Do you think we're running to schedule with our Ascension shift? Do you think things are going to plan?" And I said, I think we're actually ahead of our schedule. We're due to have completed the energy transition, and that's not just us on a personal level. That's the planetary matrix having, basically, for want of a better word, been upgraded to the fifth dimensional frequency, and that target date is 2032. So we are slap bang in the middle of this, and I actually think we've made more progress than was originally planned. Obviously, this ascension process has been meticulously planned. It's been orchestrated by Archangel Metatron, and it is being assisted by the most phenomenal amount of galactics, unicorns, dragons, archangels, ascended masters, and of course us lot here on Earth. Although a lot of us are still feeling quite tired, quite shocked, quite pulled in all of these different directions, we're all part of a team. And for those of us participating and being the driving force at the moment, we're a very, very well trained team. We're a team that has done countless lifetimes doing the role, almost playing the roles that we're playing now. And it's almost like every single lifetime that we've had recently will have been gearing up for this one. So it's all meticulously planned. And if anything, we are a little bit ahead of schedule at the moment, which is great. It's absolutely wonderful. But it was shown to me back in 2014, 2013 that things do have to run at a certain time in order for the plans to implement themselves correctly without us running ahead of ourselves and maybe creating factors that weren't actually written in or seen, if you see what I mean. So at the moment we've reached that point, that halfway phase where it's like a tug of war between, the old-fashioned tug of wars that you go like two teams of like huge meaty like athletes like pulling against each other, and like they stagger one way kind of like begrudgingly with their feet anchored into the dirt, then all of a sudden they kind of make headway and pull it the other way, and it's going backwards and forwards like that at the moment. And what this is doing is creating, or it's generating, a colossal quantity of information, cross information, parallel bleed through, all of this stuff that we are being presented with. I mean, every single person out there, I mean, you think about it, like, how many people we've got on this planet. We've got nearly 8 billion people living here. Every single one of these people, every single one of us has got an individual theory as to what's going on this world. So all of this gets put into the soup, but each soup has a collective thought, a thought pool. And so these various collective thought pools, they become solid, they become a factor of reality. And so we, most of the time we stay plugged into the thought pool that is supportive of our ascension process. The fact that, whatever occurs on this planet, everything is happening for a reason. The light will win, that we are going to step up into a higher, brighter, more beautiful society at the other end of this turbulent shift. And there's other pools of thought which are kind of a little bit more kind of like negative. They've got kind of disaster scenarios written into them. Each of these thought pools also have their own individual timeline, and this is where it starts getting a little bit complicated now, because each of us on a daily basis, depending on what information we're tuned into, hop between these timelines and these thought pools. And each time we do, we add what we add to it, and we also take away whatever we take away from it. Sometimes that can be positive, sometimes that can be negative. But I have noticed recently a pattern emerging where these kind of collective thought pools are being it's almost like they're being deliberately infiltrated by it's called seeding information. You see it happening, in particularly, I'll use the UK as an example. If something's going to occur, or say the establishment is planning something, they will seed the potential of it. They will put the thought out there a couple of weeks or a couple of months beforehand to kind of get everybody used to the idea. And it's been going on now since the beginning of the lockdown in 2020. The kind of, I use the word, the opposition that we are up against by spiritual law, and they do, believe it or not, operate under spiritual law, very strict ones, just as we do. They have to basically say what they are going to do. Okay, now this might seem bizarre from a bunch of people that have been operating in the shadows for 10,000 years, but they have to be open about their actions, but it's done in a way that people, particularly the people that are kind of like, you know, they're not tuned in like we are at the moment. They are told what is going to happen, and that thought is seeded into the reality, and then lo and behold, a couple of weeks or a month or so later, it begins to occur. So mainstream media is the main source of this news seeding. But I'm also seeing it happening, or it's almost like a little bit of infiltration into the kind of the light work accounts, where we've got a solid belief system, or a system that works for us, or things that we believe are the truth and that we're working very hard towards them. And then somebody will come in with quite a viable alternative information that needs to be looked at, and it needs to be felt, it needs to be taken into the heart. And more so now, we are going to be called upon to use our discernment. Because I think I'll use one particular example. I've had quite a few messages recently about certain, like particularly with the Ascended Masters and the Archangels, the Archon theory, or the theory of like kind of the Ascended Masters and the Archangels that many of us know and love and been working with for a long time are in actual fact working, you know, like they're of a dark energy, and they've been fooling us and tricking us and and for want of a better word, harvesting the energy. And just to make one thing very clear, we live in a time, or a dimension which has supported polarity. Polarity has been actually the most effective learning curve, plane, whatever you want to call it. So there will always be light and dark in that dimensional space. In third dimension, it was built and designed for that learning experience. So say you've got a very bright, high frequency archangel, at some level, somewhere, there will be a polar opposite to that. And that, I believe, is how that dimensional space has worked. But the concept that many of us, particularly, you know, people like me and say Diana Cooper and many of the others working for the light, have kind of been almost like tricked or conned. There's a lot of people out there that kind of like are almost like buying into this theory a little bit at the moment. And again, it's something which, if you're presented with this information, take it into your heart center. And there's the other one, which is again, it's quite fantastical, but then again, it's not, because everything has to be kind of, you've got to look at everything as if it could be possible, because we have been living in this illusion, this simulation for such a long time. Like the fact that the moon isn't the moon, and in actual fact, again, it's a portal for low frequency energy. I personally don't believe it for 1 minute, as I've been working with the moon for as long as I can remember. But if people are starting to tune into it and look at it in a certain way, then that will become their belief system, that will become their reality. So just be very aware of this additional kind of flow of information that's coming in at the moment. There will be the level of desperation that is coming from the 3D matrix is very evident now. It's evident in the news. It's evident in what we're being presented with. Everything that's kind of coming forth is becoming more fantastical and more unbelievable. And I personally believe although you've got like this construction of very kind of controlling negative energy working to enslave the planet, what we need to remember, and what I always have to remind myself on a regular basis, is the fact that these souls originated from the light. They're actors playing a part. Okay, when they finish playing their roles, when we have done what we need to do on this particular platform, they will return to the light. But they've been serving this particular role for a long time now, lifetime after lifetime, incarnation after incarnation, And when you have that much energy kind of invested in something, it's very, very difficult to step out of it again. So it's interesting looking at it from the perspective that you know, everyone and everything around us is doing whatever they've been kind of instructed or set up to do. And more of this information will come out over the next few weeks or the next few months. Information that's designed to distract you, information that's designed to create confusion, division and conflict. And there's no surefire way of telling what is exactly right for you, apart from how it makes you feel. Okay, now discernment is something which I've learned to use very effectively. It took a long time for me to hone this particular set of skills, and I went through some periods of time, you know, particularly when I first started out on this pathway, going through some fairly tough lessons of discernment. You know, who do you trust? Who do you work with? Who do you know, whose energy is right? Who means what they say? Whose light is authentic? And there's some people out there, and there's some also, you know, individuals working from the astral planes who are very good at disguising their light. They're they come across as very authentic. They come across as very, you know, basically like it's almost like you can feel or authenticate the truth until it reaches a certain point, until you take it into the heart center, and automatically the heart then indicates to you whether that information is on the bandwidth of energy that is truth for you. So each truth, each personal truth, is going to have a slightly different octave. What's truth for me might not be truthful for you. Okay, you might be listening to this and none of this is resonating with you, in which case, you know, that's absolutely fine. But each of us is going to be having to be very, very careful over the next couple of months what we invest our energy in, okay, what we turn our attention to, because the idea of it is to create a collective pool of fifth dimension or a matrix of fifth dimensional frequencies that are overlaid and wrapped around the planet. And this is something that we're stepping into. I've used the analogy before about moving into you're moving from one house into another house, but the new house that you're moving into is bigger, it's better equipped, it's brighter, it's got better views, everything is more supportive, it's more ecological, everything within it functions at a frequency that is far more harmonious to where you were living previously, even if that place appeared comfortable. And so while we're all working and striving to use our light and our personal skill set and everything that we've learnt on the pathway to create this higher, brighter, golden future, the intention of those within the matrix still are to drag our attention and our energy away, so we reinvest it back in the old set of frequencies. There's one particular thread that runs through that third dimensional matrix, and that is fear. Okay, now this is the first indication, or the red flag for me, that something is not of the light, it is not correct. And it's usually because it has a fear-based resonance. It causes alarm, or it has a feeling of discomfort that's associated with it. Okay, now that doesn't mean that we completely bury our heads in the sand and we ignore the information that we need to do, but it's whether we invest into it. Investing our energy is a very particular form of engaging with reality. Okay, once you've invested your energy into it, you become part of the co-creation of either expanding or contracting or building upon that particular pool. So I've always run by the policy where I am aware, I am informed of what's going on around me. If something resonates with me, I take it and I will utilize it in whatever I'm doing. But if it's not for me, if it's not ringing that heart truth bell, I just completely leave it and move on. I don't sit there and argue with it. I don't get into like, you know, social media banter or anything like that. I just simply completely drop it and I walk away from it, and I then go about my business investing my energy into something which does raise my light and it does raise my frequency. So this, again, everything is, it's discernment at this particular moment in time. Let's say, for the sake of example, you're sat there and you are a news watcher, okay? It's the level of discernment that you've got to be having to be watching the news at the moment and believing what you've been told is very, very low, okay? This is what we're talking, like if you've got a pyramid, then the kind of the news watching, reading, believing sort of strata are right at the bottom of the pyramid, whereas we're kind of working our way to the top of the pyramid because we've kind of decided to leave that particular source of nourishment, so to speak, and feed ourselves with something different. But as you get towards the top of the pyramid, the information changes, and this is what I'm talking about, like the infiltration or the side, or like what we call the side swipes are coming in, and they're a little bit more difficult to navigate. So just be very vigilant with what you're taking in, what you're ingesting, and what you're investing your energy with, because the period of time between now and the Lion's Gate is paramount. It's imperative. The objective of the heavens, or the higher forces and the teams of light, is to cram, and I do mean cram, as much light into this space of time between now and the beginning of the Lion's Gate as they possibly can. So every single day that passes will see an increase in light. With the full moon last night was incredible. Again, more light coming, and a lot of you will be getting the tonal frequencies in your ears. Some of you might be feeling a little bit wobbly, a little bit ungrounded. Old-fashioned methods of grounding and integration apply here. Get out in nature. You know, if it's summer up in the northern hemisphere, go out in the garden with your shoes off. Connect with the earth. You are like a lightning rod. Allow all those energies to come down in through your stellar gateway, all the way down through your chakras, and ground into the earth. Make yourself solid. Make yourself a pillar of immovable light. And when things are presented to you that shake you, which they will, okay, all of us are being shaken at the moment. We've been shaken on a daily basis, sometimes multiple times. Disengage with that from the mental side of it, and take the information into your heart. Okay, your heart will completely alchemize anything that is not of the light, and just leave you with the core structure of the energy. Now I put the video out either on Monday or before that about how to take information into your heart center and just ask your heart center the question. It's really easy to do. So you just literally take a few deep breaths in. As you're breathing in, you're breathing into your heart center, and as you do so, as you connect with your heart center immediately begins to expand. Okay, your fifth dimensional heart center is an incredibly powerful, super responsive portal of light. Second you connect with it, it begins to expand, and it's got its own cosmic consciousness. This is a brilliant thing about it. It's linked up into the universe and all of the higher realms of light. And just after a few deep breaths, just breathing into your heart center, ask your heart the question that you want the answer to. Could be something completely, you know, something that's not what would be regarded as a terribly important question, just a day-to-day matter, or it could be a planetary matter. Okay, and immediately the heart will bypass everything the ego would present to you, the emotional triggers, the kind of like the mental, the whirring mental kind of round and round that you often get when you haven't got the answer that you want, and you're looking for it, and you're kind of getting a little bit desperate. Take it into the heart. Okay, the second the heart begins to digest this information, it will immediately remove anything that is not of the light and just present you with the vibration of the truth that is perfect for you. And that is the way through this at the moment, okay? Because more and more we're going to be given things that are designed to trigger us, designed to put us into a state of fear, designed to put us into a state of conflict where some of us might be questioning each other. Are you authentic? Are you of the light? Have you fallen for a trap or a plan or something which you're not suspecting? It doesn't matter at the end of the day. What's right for us is the vibration of the truth that is set within the center of our hearts. To go with that, okay? So yeah, happy days. Lots of light coming in, lots to integrate, lots to look forward to, and also lots to be very aware of, okay? Then awareness of what you are investing your intention and your energy in, because this point in time, we're never going to see a point in time like this again in our history on this planet. This is completely unique. It's been done before in other realities, but on a much slower level over a longer period of time. There is nowhere, anywhere, in any of the learning planes throughout the multiverse that have achieved a jump from 3D to 5D in 20 years. Okay, we're pioneering this. It's all part of a fabulous and very exciting experiment that you and me and everybody else on this planet agreed to. And here we are, slap bang in the middle of it. It is utterly, completely unique. And we can either find it extremely hard work and challenging, or we can enjoy it. Personally, I'm finding it incredibly interesting. All of those years between 2013 and 2019, where I was starting to kind of actually beginning to get a little bit bored, a little bit irritable, and a little bit twitchy about the fact that I'd invested all of this training and knowledge and energy into into the ascension process, but nothing was actually occurring. Then wham, off we go, off we trot. The planet begins to literally change before our very eyes, and it's going to change more. Don't get me wrong on this. We are going to see big shifts in our reality. It's very possible that because of and this is something I was going to say earlier, because we've pushed forward so hard, because we've forged so hard, because the energy and the anchoring of the light has been so successful, those working for the third dimensional matrix have gone into a state of panic, and now they are pulling out every single kind of like every stop that they possibly can. It's almost like, you know, we've baited them out of their cages basically, and they are in panic mode. So you're going to see everything that would have possibly been implemented over a longer period of time brought forwards very, very quickly to try and counteract what basically the colossal global awakening that has occurred. And it's massive. It's absolutely massive. If you think back to where we were this time last year, how many of the people around you are actually awake and aware? Have a little think about that, because we are Mars and Venus in comparison to how many people are actually in tune with what is going on this planet. The big difference between functionally awake and actually, you know, actively awake at the moment, because, you know, you can be awake and aware but not actually capable of doing anything apart from trying to navigate yourself through this new reality, or you can be acting upon what you are seeing, what you are getting, and what you are here to do. So there we go. I think I've gone on a little bit longer than I normally do this morning, but hey ho, it's nice out here in the garden. Thoroughly enjoying this weather, and I'm going to go off out for a run now. Sending you all lots of love. Hope you have a beautiful end to the week. I'll be back on Monday with a walking meditation. Oh, before I go, just like to say on the 7th of July, I am going to be running a workshop, or I will be Mia's guest on we're going to be looking at navigating the balance between 3D and 5D. I'll put the information for this for this workshop in the text. And it's the information will be on Mia's website, Grow by Mia, and also it's up on my website, www.timwild.com, and got a few plans for future workshops in the pot as well. So keep your eyes on the page, and I'll update you soon. Lots of love. Bye for now.